What if everything you've been chasing, wealth, fame, love, even happiness, was never truly yours to control? In a world drowning in noise, chaos, and endless desire, ancient wisdom whispers a forgotten truth. Peace isn't found in what happens around you, but in how you rule yourself within. This isn't just philosophy, it's a battle plan for the soul. From kindness as duty to silence as strength, from the governance of nations to the mastery of the self. This is the Stoic path, living with reason, virtue, and power, a journey into the light of truth through the shadows of fear and into the calm that no storm can touch. It is said, be kind, for every person you meet is fighting a hard battle of their own. This truth runs deeper than mere moral advice. It is a recognition of our shared human nature. Look at the person before you. The merchant, the soldier, the beggar, or the sovereign. Beneath the cloak of status, fame, or poverty lies a psyche that is struggling with what? Not with external foes, but with the false judgments, insatiable desires, and irrational fears within. Their war is the same as your war and mine. The war to master the passions, and live in harmony with reason, logos. When you realize this kindness is no longer a choice, but an essential duty, kathekon, the kindness of a Stoic is not weak pity, but the strong empathy of a soldier for a comrade on the same battlefield. We do not help them because we are superior, but because we recognize that the chain of humanity binds us all. The happiness of the whole depends on the strength of every individual link. Therefore, treat others with tolerance, patience, and fairness, not because they deserve it, but because you are a rational being, and it is your duty to act in accordance with that nature. Every heart sings a song incomplete until another heart whispers back. Love in our philosophy is not possession or blind passion. It is the harmony of two souls mutually directed toward one ultimate goal, virtue. When you find a friend, a companion by whose side you become braver, more just wiser, that is the moment your song is made complete. True love is a training ground for virtue, where two rational minds illuminate one another, honing each other to become sharper against the trials of fate. The wise speak because they have something to say, fools because they have to say something. Speech is the outward expression of inner reason. For the Stoic, every word spoken must serve one of three purposes: truth, justice, or the common good? Before you speak, ask yourself, is this true? Is this just? Is this helpful to the community? If the answer is no to all three, then silence is the height of wisdom. The fool speaks to fill the void, to express the ego, to seek external validation, things entirely outside of their control. They are slaves to their impulses. Conversely, the sage masters their speech as a craftsman masters a tool. He speaks when necessary, with precision, clarity, and courage. His words are not noise, they are action. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when adults are afraid of the light. What is that light? It is the light of reason, of the naked truth about the nature of reality. It is the truth that we do not control external things, not our health, our wealth, our reputation, or even our own lives. It is the truth that happiness and suffering do not come from without, but only from our own judgments. People fear this light because it strips them of their comfortable illusions. They would rather live in the darkness of resentment, blaming circumstances, other people, or fate, than courageously face the truth that they themselves are the architects of their own misery. The tragedy is not death or loss. The tragedy is living an entire life without ever daring to question oneself, without ever daring to step out of the cave of prejudice, to look directly at the sun of truth. Only by daring to face that light can one truly be free. What about you? Are you a person who always likes to talk? Or do you prefer to listen to others? Sometimes talking too much brings unfavorable things to you.
You provide too much information when you talk a lot. You offer many opinions or judgments, and this in turn reveals weaknesses and shortcomings from within yourself. The person listening to you might share your views, but they could also be your rival one who is searching for weaknesses, for flaws in your perception in order to surge ahead, surpass you, or even push you further down. We should only speak just enough, be silent when necessary, and always listen. The price good people pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by those who are evil. Stoic philosophy is not an escape from society to hide on a high mountain. We are social creatures, citizens of two commonwealths, the one into which we were born, and the great commonwealth of all humankind, the universe, cosmopolis. Our duty is to contribute to the prosperity of both. Indifference to politics is a betrayal of our own social nature. It stems from a false judgment that public affairs are irrelevant to oneself. But how can they be irrelevant when you are a part of the whole. When one part of the body is diseased, the entire body suffers. When society is ruled by the greedy, intemperate, and unjust, that chaos will certainly touch your life. Participating in political life does not mean scrambling for power. It means performing one's civic duty virtuously, speaking out against injustice, obeying just laws, working diligently and honestly, and setting an example of integrity. The heaviest penalty for refusing to participate is not being ruled by your inferiors, but that you yourself become inferior by abandoning your duty. You have made yourself a bad citizen, and that is the greatest internal failure. Because the sage understands the true ruler is not the one sitting on the throne, but the one sitting on the throne of their own mind. Before you rule a city, learn to rule yourself. Learn to command your desires, to be silent, to banish your fears, and to establish the absolute dominion of reason within the inner citadel. A person who masters themselves will never truly be ruled by anyone else. Regardless of which country you live in, you are under the rule of law of that nation. Every nation builds its own legal system, its own regime. The essence of this is to manage and enforce the rule of law of that regime. You are a good citizen when you properly adhere to the laws and regime of that nation, contribute to the community, and even participate in solving the community's common problems. I am the wisest man alive, for I know one thing, and that is that I know nothing. Socrates' confession is the starting point of every philosophical journey. The most dangerous ignorance is not a lack of knowledge, but the illusion of knowledge. The one who thinks they know everything will never learn. The one who considers their judgments to be absolute truth will forever be a prisoner of prejudice. The Stoic practices this intellectual humility daily. We examine every impression fantasiae that comes to the mind with caution, asking, does this impression align with reality? Is it within our control? We realize that most of what we believe to be truth are merely opinions, interpretations colored by emotion and habit. Knowing that one knows nothing is liberation. It opens the door to ceaseless learning, to continuous self-examination and self-perfection. Ignorance, that is the root of all evil. It is true. No one does evil intentionally. People do wrong because they believe it will bring them benefit. The thief believes that possessions will bring happiness. The tyrant believes that power will bring security. They act erroneously because they are ignorant of the true nature of the good. The only good, my friends, is virtue. Everything else, wealth, power, health, are indifference. Indifference. They are neither good nor bad. Their value depends on how we use them. And that leads us to the truth. The measure of a man is what he does with power. Power, like a knife, can be used to save a life or to kill. It is the ultimate test of virtue. To grant power to a person is to hold a mirror to their soul. It will amplify all that is already within. If what is within is wisdom, justice, and self-control, power will become a tool to serve the community. If what is within is greed, fear, and selfishness, power will become a weapon of destruction. But remember, the ultimate power that every one of us possesses is the power to choose how to respond to external events. No one can strip this power away. Epictetus, a man who was once a slave, was yet freer than his emperor because he completely mastered his inner kingdom. Your true measure is not the power you have over others, but the power you have over yourself. Education is teaching our children to desire the right things. What then are the right things? Society teaches us to desire money, fame, beauty, power, things that are fleeting and outside our control, things that always lead to disappointment and suffering. A Stoic education teaches the opposite. It teaches children to desire the only things of value that are completely within their control: wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. Education is not the stuffing of knowledge, but the training of the soul. Do not teach a child by force or harshness, because knowledge that is forced will never take root. Instead, turn learning into a process of discovery. Teach them how to think logically, how to distinguish between judgment and reality, how to face adversity with resilience. The ultimate goal of education is to create free human beings, free from ignorance, free from the passions, and free from the fear of death. Necessity is the mother of invention. And for the Stoic, we say the obstacle is the way. Fate places before us difficulties, challenges, necessities. A weak soul will see them as barriers, as punishments. But a soul trained by philosophy will see them as opportunities. The necessity of facing illness is the opportunity to invent courage. The necessity of facing injustice is the opportunity to invent integrity. The necessity of facing loss is the opportunity to invent resilience. Adversity is the very forge where virtue is tempered. Love your fate. More fati, for it is the raw material from which you sculpt the masterpiece of your life. And the purpose of education is to teach us to love what is beautiful. Ultimate beauty does not lie in a marble statue or a melodic symphony. Ultimate beauty lies in a soul that is well ordered and action performed with perfect virtue, the beauty of a soldier,
bravely facing death, the beauty of a judge delivering a just verdict, the beauty of a father patiently teaching his child. That is the beauty of reason manifested in action. It is the only beauty that does not fade with time, and it is the only object worthy of our love and desire. Death is not the worst thing that can happen to a person. The worst thing is to live a life without virtue. The worst thing is to betray the reason within you to live as a slave to trivial things. Death is a natural law, a part of the cosmic order. To fear it is irrational, like fearing the setting of the sun or the coming of winter. Remember death, memento mori, not to be sorrowful, but to live a more complete life. Every day ask yourself, if today were my last day, would I be content with what I have done, thought, and said? The awareness of death will help you eliminate the superfluous and focus on what truly matters. You are a citizen of the cosmos. Your mind is a fragment of the divine logos. Live in a way that is worthy of that heritage. Be like a star shining with your own light, the light of reason and virtue, not to impress other stars, but because it is your nature. Courageously face the light of truth. Rule your inner kingdom with the iron hand of discipline. Fulfill your duty to the community with compassion and justice. Accept what fate brings as an opportunity to train the soul. And when you do all of those things, you will find not fleeting happiness, but something far more precious. The tranquility, ataraxia, and peace, apatheia of an unshakable soul. You will no longer be a leaf swept away in the storm of life, but will become the towering mountain steadfast amidst the tempests. That is the path of the Stoic. That is the path that leads to a life worth living. The world will always be loud, but you can choose silence. The world will always be cruel, but you can choose kindness. The world will always be uncertain, but you can choose reason. In the end, the Stoic does not seek to escape life, but to embrace it fully, wisely, and without fear. When you master yourself, no storm can shake you. So live with purpose, act with virtue, and let your inner light shine quietly, steadily, like a star in the endless cosmos. If these words moved something within you, subscribe, stay, and walk this path with us, the path of reason, strength, and peace.